Yeah, it's great to have you, Miles Bridges, today. Today, I'm just gonna try to see just how you can role play on this and with a couple of questions because the truth is, if we dialogue, we're well able to, fix situations and be able to help you to develop the skills that are necessary, even as an employee. So, in a nutshell, how can limited time impact the workplace? Like you've been here for a while, how can limited time impact the workplace? Um, Most times, just to respond to this, limited time really impacts the workplace in terms of people not having that time to be able to put in their best. And sometimes the task might be so much and the project is uh, so daunting or it needs a lot of time to get it work out and it never gets to be done properly because of the time is so limited and sometimes the time is just little time is being um, allotted for tasks and projects with even requirement for a larger amount of time. So okay, so can you think of a well, that's really true. I think it's better for organizations like ours to be able to open up and help employees have the right amount of time allotted to project, especially sensitive ones. So let's go to the next question. Can you think of an example of when you have been in this situation? Is there a time you've been in a situation like this? Yeah, I have a project I was working on for ExxonMobil, and I needed to turn it in on I needed to turn it in, but the time allotted to do that was really short. And because I have some other brands I was working on at that time, so I was clubbered with a whole lot of work, and I did turn it in, but I would say it wasn't the best. All right, great. So just like I point out, the fact is to have more um, time allotted to this project. So in this case, we might need to have one more personnel join you on this very account to make it easier for you to give quality time to the various accounts. Did you read and adapt to the situation well? Yes, I did, and I was able to. I found out in order to be able to achieve on board level and do meet up with the expectation of the client, I need to cut back on some personal activities and some things that were not that necessary. But I did. I was able to, surmount the situation and get the job done in the best possible way. That's okay. So, fourthly, how could you have read and adapted to it better? Um, to adapt to it better, it would have been me being um, able to know about this. It's about being more anticipating of situations like this, like scenarios that's gonna need a very strict timeline to deliver for the client. Um, it was to get into it right from the very start instead of dilly dallying. So, how can you? That's a good one. Can you anticipate being in that situation again in the future? When is that likely to happen? What options will you have? How will you adapt? So, if I may answer this, I think in the future I'll be more prepared. I'll be more ready with all the gadget, with all the tools, with all the statistics and all the facts necessary to be able to adapt and meet up the deadline. That's correct. That's a good step because it's sometimes we might have everything before us and we might not be able to turn things out. So it's better to be prepared and anticipate things going wrong So in that way, we don't get caught unprepared. On a lighter note, I would like to let me take another question. How can too much work impact the workplace? Can you think of an example of when you have been in this situation? Did you read and adapt to the situation well? Okay, we just taken this already. Um, okay, how can too much work impact the workplace? Yeah, too much work really, to me, it's something I've been trying to adapt to, because sometimes when it becomes you have too much to do with a very, very short delivery time to meet up, sometimes you might not be able to, giving your very best. The whole work become wishy-washy and less quality, um, less quality results is being obtained. You're right. I think the key skill here for you, even when you've been faced with a situation with less time and much work to do, is to be prepared. It's to have sometimes you can have call for extra hand, someone to help you. You can also need to have that that ability to be able to multitask and multi-skill, as well as plan out your work. So planning is very, very key. You know, to spread out, and which will make you be able to effectively complete the task. Okay, let's go to the third question. So how can other people not doing their part impact the workplace? Can you think of an example of when you've been in this situation? Yeah, really. So most times it's really, really worrisome, or it slows the whole project down when you have a member of the team who are not coming at it with 100% and they offering less than what they can do. And when timelines are like closing in and the deadlines coming close, people have to put their own thing on the side and take up this work that is suffering, in order to make sure that every angle is covered and all grounds are covered. So it really impacts the work, because I need to leave what I'm doing to go take care of what these other colleague is doing. So that's really a good one. I think you're right, because um, there's a need for people to be all hands to be on deck, for everybody to bring their very best and into the work, instead of being carried away with other things or not giving their best, because it's going to affect others who are really doing more, to move the organization forward. So, okay, another question would be, did you read and adapt to the situation well? How could you have read and adapt to it better? Can you anticipate being in that situation again in the future? When is that likely to happen? What options will you have? How will you adapt? Okay, for this very scenario, I was able to effectively address the situation and be able to take on that task. But I think going forward, I will need to help this colleague who's not been able to catch up with the space. I know he's new on the job. I'm gonna be able to help him to cover more ground and be more ahead and understand the process for the organization. That's indeed a good one, yeah, because you need to help rally the team, and there are people who, like what you said, they're new in the system, so it's good to help them understand the pace, the process, and the structure with which they need to follow. And lastly, how can conflict between and among employees impact the workplace? Can you think of an example of when you've been in this situation? Did you read and adapt to the situation well? How could you have read and adapted to it better? Can you anticipate being in that situation again in the future? What is likely to happen? What opinion will you have? How will you adapt? Yeah, conflict, it's really something that really draws the team backward. I've been in that situation before where you're struggling to get your colleague to understand how it is very important um, to keep peace, for that communication flow to be there. And I think going forward, I need to be more assertive and try to communicate ahead. And even when I see that or that coldness developing, I want to be there to easily come in and break the ice and try to understand what the situation is and how it can be mitigated. So, but I I don't anticipate being in that in the future. I just hope that could be fixed. Yeah, you're right. It's really good to try to seek for ways to, you know, stop a problem or conflict from festering, even when you see it brewing and when at the earlier stage. So when you're able to stop it at that earlier stage, you know it's not gonna grow more than that. And if it does linger, it's best to bring other management team people into it so they could stop it, because it can really hamper the growth of the business, and also affect it's going to also affect the clients that we are servicing. All right, so that's my session.